Hamsters Rated, our show where console peasants and PC master racers unite in glorious bacon.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It is episode 125. As always, I'm 𝗨𝗃𝘀𝘆, but hey, you can call me G. And joining me for this little episode, we have Drag.
Hey, everybody. I'm still melting out here in Southern California, but I guess I can't complain too much. And I think I'll be back here. We're going to do our little thing here, G and I, and then we'll take a quick little break. And after the break, Bamm and I will come back and talk about some of the games that are going to be coming out next month. But in the meantime, G, what have we got up first?
Well, I know this is supposed to be news, but can I just run off in a slightly different direction?
I don't think I could stop you.
No, because recently I actually learned what we currently think is the oldest reference to the word fuck, and I found that rather entertaining. Here's one for you. Like, in 1311, so a while back, somebody named Roger fucked by the navel was apparently in a court of law and was being outlawed. He was made to be outside the law so you could do whatever you wanted to him, because he hadn't been a nice person. How the hell did you get a name like Roger fucked by the navel?
I don't honestly know that I want an answer to that question.
So it was just something I stumbled across while kind of reading various things. And that's apparently the oldest reference to the word fuck in the English language.
And this is where we cue the little video of The More You Know.
Yeah. Anyways, topics that are a little bit more on our side of the fence. Apparently, Netflix is picking up the Locke and Key show that Hulu has been dealing with. They've not really gotten anywhere with it. And it seems to be a lot of people being excited about this one.
Yeah, I read these graphic novels. In fact, I picked them up from TJ when he was working at the comic art gallery over there. And, dude, I really enjoyed the series. It's an interesting story. And I remember, I think he and I talked a while back when there was some kind of announcement or press release about that they were going to be doing a live action show.
Yeah, so this is weird. Apparently, close to a decade ago, somebody was trying to make a live action show, and they got as far as a pilot, and then it kind of died. Then in 2017, it was announced that the original writers behind this comic, 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Hulu went through it and they made a new pilot, and they started doing sets. Everything was greenlit. Everything was going great. It was on its way to being a thing. Like they'd written 6 or 7 scripts, early stage scripts, but still scripts. And then you might have heard there was a little bit of musical chairs going on in Hulu's management. It got completely rearranged, and in an attempt to clean things up and streamline the organization, Hulu dropped it and said, yeah, no, we're not going to do it anyway.
That's, it's funny. We have so much more access, I think, to information than, 10 or 20 years ago. And I'm sure this kind of stuff probably has gone on for, decades and decades. But it's kind of crazy to see some of this stuff now with how this process works with shows potentially being picked up and then dropped and all that stuff. I mean, you would think at a certain point you've invested money on it, but a lot of times I guess maybe they haven't invested enough money to want to keep going with it.
Well, it is a thing nowadays, the sunk cost fallacy, as it's called. People do try to avoid it. Like, we spend so much on it, therefore we still have to do it. So no, don't throw good money after bad money. And this isn't possibly what's going on. It sounds really just like Hulu's new management said, yeah, we're not doing it. They were trimming things, and this was one of those that got trimmed out. But I say, if you read the comics, because I actually haven't, could you give a quick briefing? What is it?
Okay, so more or less it starts out, you've got these kids living. Oh man, I read this stuff over a year ago. But you got these kids living in this big house, and I think it was their father that had died, he was murdered or something like that. And through a process, they learn that I think they've inherited this home or something like that. But they moved to this place in Massachusetts, and I want to say TJ could definitely correct me if I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure that like Stephen King's son is involved in the writing or somehow of this. But anyway, the kids, they live in this mansion, and they begin to discover these keys, and these keys hold like this mystical power, which can be used to unlock abilities for some of the different kids, or anybody really who uses the keys. And so they can start doing things that they might not have otherwise been capable of doing. They can learn things really quick by opening up their head and putting a book in there. It's just, it's kind of cool, some of the concepts, the twists and turns that it takes. But of course, you know, with this, there's a darker side too. There's something that has been trapped at the house that is wanting access to these keys because it wants to be able to use these keys for its own nefarious ends. And there's an interesting backstory in how the keys came to be, how they were constructed, and why they have this power that they do. So it's a really neat and interesting story, I thought, and I'm pretty excited about them doing a live-action version of it because I'd love to see that on screen too.
Yeah, I mean, reading about it, it sounded interesting. What caught my eye was this is actually the third time they're trying, the whole Hulu making a mess of it. They are redoing the pilot. They use a new script for the pilot with Netflix. They're finding new actors, actresses, basically recasting the damn thing. Except I think they're keeping one or two of the ones from the last go around. I have an interest in TV. I worked there in the past, and seeing these things come up, as you say, we get more information about it nowadays. It's fun to watch, and I think this is actually going to be an interesting little 10 episodes that they're making.
Well, I'll tell you, I can't wait. But speaking of things that are fun to watch, a lot of people find Fortnite fun to watch. I don't know, I find it more fun to play than to watch. How about you?
For me, it's one of those to watch. I enjoyed it when Jolly was playing it because he's really that good. Watching somebody who really knows what they're doing, but at the same time has fun doing it. Somebody who control the other players while they're doing it. That's fun to watch. It's not a game for me unless, playing 4-man, 3-man squads. That's duos even. That's interesting. So you can play with your mates. Beyond that, it's not my game. It's a game to play with friends for me. But you're right. This was amazing. Like, was it Twitch have reported a 59% increase in viewership for the damn thing just in the last 3 months? But it comes up because so recently they announced they did $1 billion revenue, $1 billion. All of that from in-game, because this is not people buying access to the non-battle royale part. This is the free-to-play part, and just $1 billion in revenue in in-game purchases, dance moves. That
Seems on some levels insane to me, and yet I can understand it. I saw you see every year at things like Comic-Con with people having to have those exclusives, even though they're going to go on sale, even as soon as a couple months or a couple weeks after con, but they'll pay the extra price to get it at con or to have a friend pick it up and ship it to them. It's insane, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and it's the thing that then came up from that is Superdata, who does a lot of analysis and this stuff. They estimate a 49% increase in in-game sales on consoles. So we're leaving out the PC people because they smell. Sorry, Drag. But that's just in-game sales. That's DLC, microtransactions, that kind of stuff. 49% increase year on year. But if you remove Fortnite from that, it's a 6% drop. What that sort of tells us is that whole increase is not only driven by Fortnite, but that Fortnite is eating into the revenue of all the other games. And it's what we also see with the Twitch streaming. Yeah, Fortnite's viewership have gone up, but CSGO has dropped 51%, Overwatch has dropped 16%, League of Legends have dropped 19%. Fortnite is, it's growing things, but is also cannibalizing all the other branches.
And that's why we see all these other companies doing Battle Royale games still, trying to get a piece of that pie.
Oh yeah, but most of them were doing that before Fortnite became a Battle Royale thing. Battle Royale became a thing, but Fortnite just wiped the floor with all of them at this point.
Yeah, but if you look at Fortnite, and if you were to try and break down, I guess, and analyze, the different things that are reasons for why it's probably a success. Yeah, the Battle Royale mode is fun, and the competitive nature to that, I get why that attracts people and why it attracts viewership. But I almost think that it's maybe just as much or maybe even more about the actual game itself, the fun, gunplay mechanics, the way that it looks, kind of the cartoony look to it, and the vibrant colors. I don't know. It seems like from what I've seen, it's more or less it's a fun game to play and a fun world to play in. So it's not just that battle royale mechanic. I know that is part of the recipe for their success, but I just don't think that if you're out there looking to make a battle royale game and try and get a piece of that pie, you got to really bring something besides just another battle royale game.
Oh no, it's a perfect storm because it's a fairly easy accessible game. It runs on older machines, which a lot of other games, also in the Battle Royale area, actually doesn't. They run quite poorly, because PUBG just has issues everywhere. It's free to play, not every Battle Royale is. It's a style that parents are okay with letting their kids play because it's non-gory. But also it got all the attention from people like Ninja, from that Canadian, not Bieber, the other one, Drake. It's hitting every single milestone almost perfectly. It's hitting all those things just right. And it is that perfect storm of all those things getting together and making an excellent experience, but also financially a good day.
So I'm going to say maybe here's where we bounce into, unless you have anything else, where we bounce into your next topic.
Let me do one really quickly. And Bamm, remember to edit this part out. Finally, I just want to say, it's fun to watch Activision Blizzard. They came out and said, our players always come back to our franchises. They might go and play Fortnite, that's good, but they come back. And Electronic Arts, EA, is arguing, this is just bringing younger players, a younger group, into the marketplace and into the first-person shooter experience, and then they're expecting that they will migrate away from Fortnite and into EA's games later on. So the fact that it's cannibalizing stuff, the big ones at least, again, Activision, Electronic Arts, they're not worried about. But I'd love to know what's going on at Digital Extremes, at Wargaming. They were the big ones before. So what's going on in the offices there? Are they afraid?
I wouldn't necessarily think the DE would be afraid. It seems to be that Warframe is still doing pretty good, but yeah, who knows? I know, the statistics, they don't lie, and I think there is still something to what Activision, Blizzard, and EA are saying as far as, bringing new people into the market and whatnot. But, it's fun to play that game. It's fun to play any game, but yeah, sometimes it's good to switch it up and have a new experience too, which you'll get with, some of the games from Activision and EA and Blizzard.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I don't play Destiny.
Well, boo on you. No. I haven't actually played Destiny in a bit. And depending on what else I have going on will depend on how quickly or how long it takes me to pick up the next add-on that's coming out.
But I guess we did poke a little bit at PC players, and here's something for you guys to be a little bit sad about. There's now new ways of stealing secrets from your computer.
Do tell.
Yeah, I guess this is my topic because this is a little bit nerdier than most. The Spectre attacks, the whole side channel stealing data straight out of a CPU. It tended to be a case of you had to run a program on somebody's computer, and then that program could sniff out data, sniff out memory, sniff out caches from the CPUs, and send that off to somebody else. And if that contains like your bank account and your login to the bank, oops, things are not good. But consistently it's been a case of it had to be a program running on somebody's computer, usually via JavaScript. Like you could put these attacks into a web page and they could steal stuff straight out of your CPU. There's a new one that doesn't even need that. It can attack just by pounding your network, your net port, with data. It can steal data out of your computer. They call it NetSpectre. And it's related to the so-called variant 1 of the Spectre attacks, which means any CPU that's affected by pretty much any of the Spectre attacks is affected by this one. And it's not good. But again, the mitigations, there's new firmwares available to pretty much every CPU. They protect more or less against this variant 1 and therefore also protect against this interesting way of hitting data. But good news, so far they got the exfiltration of data, i.e. getting data out of your computer and off to somebody else, up to 15 bits per hour. Remember, 8-bit is what we use for one character in a text file. 15 bits per hour is not enough to be useful. There's a setup that is specific to Intel CPUs, but they got it up to 16 bits per hour. It's, again, not exactly useful, but it's an interesting attack, and it might be able to be used in the future. It might, they can probably grow this one into something useful. But just the idea that our CPUs are now so advanced that we're finding ways of reading data, not by reading the data itself, but making our own program do things, and then see how the CPU reacts, and thereby determining what it was doing before, and possibly even getting access to caches from whatever it was doing before. It's a complete new way of attacking computers and attacking data, and it's just not a good place for Intel and AMD and everybody else to be in.
So follow the link in the description to get more info and upgrade your firmware is what I'm getting out of that.
Spoken like a true nerd who doesn't really know properly.
I like quick and simple solutions so that I can get back to gaming.
Well, this one, as I said, the exfil rate is at 15 bits per hour. It's not worth being nervous about. But yeah, with all the other things, make sure your operating system, your browser, everything is up to date. Just always do that. And if you're looking to buy a CPU right now, I still keep saying buy an AMD, because the Intel ones are being slowed down so much they're as slow as AMD's.
Well, alrighty then. Should we move to our next, what should we call this, a ghost of a topic or a returning from the dead?
I guess this is for you, No Man's Sky is back.
Yeah, I never actually checked this out when it first came out because it didn't have any kind of multiplayer, and I'm not against single-player games, and depending on the game, I've played many over the years. It's just that I don't have as much time to play through a lot of single-player game content as I do because when I sit down and play, generally I want to sit down and play a game with friends. So yeah, they recently added their all kinds of updates, including a multiplayer patch to it, and so I finally went and picked it up. It was on a Steam sale and have started checking that out.
Well, you say they added multiplayer, but the people using good old games, not so much.
That is an excellent point.
But no, it's just fun. Grit was playing it and he liked it. He liked the original one, and good on him. He liked the whole exploring and finding things and just enjoying the worlds. But now it seems like they've added, Minecraft and multiplayer. And now it's even better, and they made it prettier. So, hey...
Yeah, I heard they added something to do with like fleets of ships and stuff that I guess you can control. I'm nowhere near that, I expect, as far as my playthrough in the story or in the co-op mode that I've been playing. I've just finally gotten to my second planet and built my first tiny little structure. So I would say I like the way the game looks, absolutely. Some of the game mechanics, and especially the UI, I think really need some more work. But beyond that, I think really my only complaint has been that, the initial tutorial type steps that you take when you're starting out aren't always so obvious. I think they could be maybe improved upon to make it a little bit easier for brand new players who've never touched the game. And I know that when I was playing with a buddy of mine, he ran into a couple of different problems. It was really frustrating him. And found out that one of those things, I guess they recently also, after that next update, they actually just released a patch to fix the problem he was having. But then the other thing he was having that he ran into, and we've seen some posts online, on the PC you can remap your keys, and frequently I do because I never got into using WASD. My hand is always shifted to the right into the natural typing position, so I use EDSF instead of WASD. So I remap all my keys when it comes to any type of shooting or third-person, first-person game that I play. And part of the problem with doing that is you have to be very meticulous about remapping your keys, Because in many games like this, when you map a key, if there's another key that is already bound to the key that you're mapping, it blanks it out. This doesn't do that. So we found that a couple of times keys were being double mapped. I found it when I was trying to scan things, because it ended up being the same key that would move my character strafe to the right. So I couldn't stand still and scan things. And I think with him, he maps his keys differently than I do. And so he found that he was struggling to try and build things, because instead of the build option coming up, he was getting the emotes. So it was just kind of funny. So some of the stuff with the UI and some of the stuff with how they bring you into the game and lead you through the first part about how the game works and the things to do, I think probably could be improved upon a little bit. But it's been an interesting experience. I like what I'm seeing so far.
No, that's what I'm hearing as well. People are really enjoying it. And, good on them. It had so much hype. Like, I've never seen a game hyped that much by the publishers for a studio that small. Remember, there were 13 people when they started this thing, when they started talking about it publicly. Wow, they were on Colbert. They were everywhere talking about this. There's a Colbert planet somewhere out there because of it. That exploded, and it's a good lesson in don't hype too much, perhaps, because people really expected everything and the kitchen sink, and they didn't get that. It was much smaller. Now some of it is being added back in, and I'd be interested in seeing what comes next. What are they working on after this No Man's Sky next?
So what comes after next? No, this game has had an incredible roller coaster of highs and lows, from the hype that they put into the game and the excitement that people had to dropping off after release. And I think it said that it had something like less than, or it struggled to have anywhere near, like, what was it, 2,000 players at one point. And now, after the release of Next, they're reporting well over 60,000 players. So people are coming back to and playing and checking out No Man's Sky again, which is cool.
Yeah, and it was fun to see Sean Murray, the head of the studio, came out and said, "Yay, we're now at mixed reviews." In the past, it was all bad.
I did love that. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot to put that in the show notes, and I meant to add that in there, that they had gone from being mostly negative to mixed.
But no, good on them. Good on Sean and team. I like a story of a game coming back, a team coming back here. Since Disney now told us that there's no redemption stories. They're all fake. It's good to see a game and a company doing one of those anyways.
Well, I say we shift from one sci-fi topic to another. You had something here for CCP games?
Ah, yes, our friends up in Reykjavik. They came out with a presser just the other day, saying, they are now using Unreal Engine for all of their upcoming projects. Like, they're going all in on Unreal Engine. And which was curious enough, but then hidden somewhere inside of it was the message that CCP London is making a new action MMO. It's kind of like, I wonder what that is.
Well, I know I've seen you and Bamm and a couple others talking about Project Nova. You think they're doing something with making that into an MMO, or do we think this is an entirely new property?
Well, that's the thing. We know Project Nova was done in CCP Shanghai. It's now being done in Reykjavik. And we know it's Snorri Jarnarsson, or something like that, who's making it. It's a different team in London doing a different game, so it's not Project Nova. And we know Shanghai is working on something as well, but not Nova and not this action MMO. So seems to be at least 3 projects coming out of a company that is famous for exactly one game. And, they made, I was about to say Gunship, Gunjack, 2 versions of it, and we don't know if that's more of the same in Shanghai, but they say they're not doing any more VR. They sold off the studio that was doing Valkyrie. They sold off the studio in Atlanta that was doing more VR, including Spark. So it's interesting. They've done Valkyrie that didn't go very well. Well, it went okay, but they probably wanted more out of it. They did Dust, which tanked for every single reason one can imagine. It's nice to see them still try things. I love that they're still trying things. And just this whole press release going out and saying, yes, we're sticking, or we're going all in on Epic Games Unreal Engine 4, is an interesting one, particularly since it mentions a new MMO, but also just that they're doing that. They're going out and saying, yeah, we are doing things.
Well, that's cool. I definitely would like to see what it is they're working on. Some of the stuff that I know that they've worked on that maybe hasn't necessarily worked out still looked pretty neat and interesting to me. I know you guys kind of all met and got together because of Dust, and that was well before my time, because I don't think I think you told me that was on PlayStation 3, and I didn't have a PlayStation back then, but probably wouldn't have played a shooter on there anyway.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. That was an awesome game. But I think, we could talk about that for ages. Go listen to the Dust Had Settled series that Bamm and Saxonmish are doing, or go listen to Uncle Pyrex' little videos. He's coming back and talking about Project Nova, following up on Dust. So there's enough stuff out there talking about that. We don't need to get into it. I am looking forward to Project Nova, even if it won't come out on a platform that I can play on. But they put in a lot of marketing speak. I know that. Don't put too much into this. But one of the things they said is, CCP's commitment to Unreal stems from the engine's stability, quick prototyping, and the solid cross-platform support for both established and new hardware. And that last bit, the cross-platform part, they said Project Nova is going to be PC only, but might they have a macOS version, or might they later come with a console version? Or is this new action MMO going to be cross-platform? Don't know. It's just, again, it's probably just marketing speak, but it's interesting they put it in there.
Well, if they're working on a new action MMO, I can see why they'd want to do that cross-platform for sure. And, I almost want to say, between the wording of cross-platform and new hardware, that potentially could even refer to current gen and next gen systems. I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it a little too much there, but that's,
You're just getting your punditry on. That is okay. But yeah, new games. And one that actually shared. Small note, we actually knew about this MMO, kind of, sort of, because there was a leak via job posting last year, and I guess you've had more of these job postings leaking information.
Are we talking about the potential, possible, maybe Diablo new game? Yeah, this is something. It was an article that showed up in one of my Twitter feeds. I think it was this morning, but the article is actually from like 2 months ago, and somehow I missed it, or maybe I saw it and forgot about it. I don't know, but I guess there's been a job listing with Blizzard for a dungeon artist to work within the Diablo franchise. And there's not really a ton of information. It's pretty vague. They call it an unannounced Diablo project. In fact, I think the quote I saw in the article from GameSpot was, "The minions of hell are growing stronger. We're working on a new unannounced Diablo project." So it kind of just left at that. And with the fact that there hasn't been a lot of new content for Diablo, in fact, I think the last DLC was sometime in the middle of 2017, I think. Something about, was it a Necromancer or something? I don't remember exactly, but people are kind of getting their hopes up that this could be them working on a new Diablo game.
That could be nice enough. I want to get back into Diablo. I know there's the last two versions, one version that's been on the consoles. I'd like to see a new one where they kind of double down on that.
Yeah, Diablo 3 was kind of a new experience for me. When I was back in college, man, I know, I'm dating myself again here, but Diablo was all the rage, and I decided I wanted to try it out. So I set it up and was playing a game and had it open for people to join. And I had such a horrible experience because I had left it open like that. There was a player that joined me, and the two of us, had just started a new game and going through, and it was really cool. We were playing the game as you were expected and should play the game, cooperatively going through dungeon crawling, having a good time. And then some other random player joined in with this character that had a massive amount of levels and some kind of crazy equipment, and spent the entire time just spanking us to death, pretty much. And then when we would respawn, they'd do it all over again. They'd basically just being a total ass. And I got so annoyed with that because I didn't want to just play the game by myself, but I didn't have like a whole lot of people who were playing Diablo at that point because I came to it kind of late. Most people had already played. So I was like, screw it. And I removed the game off my system. I didn't even bother when Diablo 2 came out. And my buddy that I play games with at a LAN session every couple weeks convinced me to play Diablo 3 when that came out, and we had a lot of fun with that.
I had a similar one, oddly enough, in 𝗨𝗃𝘆 Legends. I was playing and live streaming it, and somebody joined that was 10 levels above me because I just set the game open, and oops, did it get difficult. But yeah, no, don't play open games unless you're ready for people to be a-holes. That's just life, mate. I wish people wouldn't do it, but some are. The guy in 𝗨𝗃𝘆 Legends, I should say, was trying to help me because as the enemies grew more difficult, they also dropped better loot. So he was being nice. I just, thanks, dude. That wasn't what I needed at the time.
Well, it was definitely an early learning experience for me.
Yeah, thankfully, I've only played Diablo solo. As in, just back then, multiplayer wasn't something I really wanted to do. That was Neverwinter Night got me into the idea of playing multiplayer.
Well, the funny thing about that is back then I had more time for single-player games and played through a lot more single-player, story-driven type games than co-op or multiplayer. But, yeah, for some reason, I just... That one with the ability to do co-op, I really wanted to do it co-op, but it just left such a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, I can definitely understand that. And it's weird because co-op is one of those where you expect people and the mechanics to support co-op, but not always.
And I guess on that note, we are going to take a short break. Stick with us through the little breaker here, and Bamm and I will be back to talk about some of the games that are coming out in August.
You spend more time talking about there being a breaker than the actual length of the incoming breaker. Anyways, yeah, I'm leaving because they're talking upcoming games, and I have enough of them right now. Or more. I want to go do something else. I have some Elite Dangerous to play.
Yeah, gee, go learn how to land.
Shush.
This episode of The Bampster Show is brought to you in part by beer! Beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. Man, if you are not drinking a beer right now, well then you should be. That's right. You work hard and you deserve a break. So pop the top off your favorite beverage, kick up your feet, and enjoy this episode.
And that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Drac, I believe you're hanging about to discuss some games with me. We've got quite a few to get through to this month, so let's hit it off. Drac, what's your first on chopping block today?
That's right, we kicked Jeet out of the hot seat and threw Bamm in there and tied him up. No, we got a few. We're not going to go through everything. We got a few games for this month, and one of the first ones I thought I'd bring up, we'll just go in chronological order, because, I'm a pain in the ass that way. But Monster Hunter World, I brought this one up. I know it came out on console. I think it was back in Japan, but it'll be releasing for PC on the 9th of August for $59.99. It's an MMO action hunting game. I mention it mostly because of the popularity. A lot of people are really into this game. I've kind of had a hard time finding enough of an interest in it just because of the fact that it looks like it's just too much of a grind. But I don't know, since it's been out on console, have you played it, Bamm?
No, Monster Hunter isn't on my radar for August, to be honest. I just don't have any interest in Monster Hunter at all. I know it's coming out on PC. I know it's already been launched in Japan. I know it's from Capcom. I know it's £60. I'm just not that much fussed about it, gentlemen. I couldn't care. Not my type of game.
Yeah, like I said, I've had a hard time really finding an interest in it because it just seems like it's, one grind after another. But a lot of people do genuinely seem to enjoy it, and I thought I'd bring it up for that reason alone, because I figure there are folks out there who could be listening that, might be waiting on this one to come out. So, but up next after that, the day after, this one will be released on Steam for PC from Chimplabs, a game called Idle Dungeons. It's an action-adventure with RPG elements, kind of a Minecraft-esque look to it. And I gotta say, I was looking at this, it's single-player only, which was my only disappointment so far looking at it. I would have liked, as I often do, would have liked to see co-op in there. But this one looks like it could be kind of a nice, fun time to just kind of run around and explore stuff and take on skeletons and other creatures and stuff like that. Just maybe even just to sit and live stream it too.
Okay, believe it or not, when I had a look at this game, I instantly got the Minecraft vibe out of it. And believe it or not, I played Minecraft. I played a whole lot of Minecraft. I went to the Obsidian, all that bits and pieces. I've done it all. Just been there, done that, got a t-shirt. I don't need to play a re-envisioned version of Minecraft. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got the same envision.
Yeah, you can draw a lot of parallels to Minecraft for certain. I didn't see necessarily anything with like crafting, your own bases and buildings and whatnot. But yeah, this one looks to be more focused on it being kind of like an action adventure RPG type game versus any type of base crafting, base building, whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, it definitely looks Minecrafty. Although I'd say probably like an upgraded version of the look. It's still kind of blocky, but there's a lot more definition to some things. But anyway, like I said, I think it looks like it might be a fun time to play through this one.
Anyway, guys, on the 10th of August, the same day as Idle Dungeons, guys, 𝗨𝗺𝗃𝗴𝗴 is being launched. The game is developed by Compulsion Games, and the publishers, believe it or not, are Gearbox, Microsoft, and Compulsion Games themselves. As far as we can figure out, it's PC, Mac, Linux, Xbox One, PS4, basically every platform known to man apart from Nintendo Switch. Yay. So we're not actually too sure about why it didn't come out on the Switch. Just that it hasn't, as I'm pretty sure you guys all know, there's been a little drama about it with Compulsion Games being picked up by Gearbox and it going from a £20 game to a fully fledged £60 game with all the bits and pieces and gold and silver tiers thrown in, so you can get yourself lovely wax models and bits and pieces thrown in, cheap Chinese knockoff nonsense that you don't really need to play the game. So, there was a Jim Sterling episode about it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it because he raised a lot of good points in it. There might be a link in the description somewhere about it, so I urge you guys to go. However, don't let the fact that they've been picked up by Gearbox Games sway you in any way. This game does look intense. It's an action horror open world survival. It's got more tags on it than a New York City building of sorts. I'm pretty sure it's in New York with their buildings all tagged and stuff. So yeah, guys, go have a look-see, go and research it, and it'll be a good game, I reckon. Yes.
Yeah, and Bamm mentioned the wiki or something had listed Linux and Mac. I don't know. I wasn't finding a listing on that, so I checked their website real quick. I'm not seeing it, but who knows? This is another one of those that I don't know. It never really grabbed my attention. I know 𝗨𝗃𝗀𝘀 has been looking at this pretty heavily and following the development and stuff, but I don't know. This is just another one of those that just I haven't found anything that really hooked me into wanting to look into this and play it more.
To be fair, it looks like a hashed version of Fallout with its still sort of prettiness. They're still living in the 50s type thing, and they're taking the drugs to sort of... Yeah, it looks like a good game. Really good game. Yeah, anyway, guys, on the next game we have on the chopping board is the 14th of August, Death's Gambit from White Rabbit Studios, and the publisher is Adult Swim, guys. PC and PS4. 20 of your hard-earned spondoolies will acquire you this game. It is a 2D action RPG inspired by the games such as Castlevania and Dark Souls. Basically, in a nutshell, this game was developed by very vindictive people because the games this one game has been inspired by two of the other games that the developers were very I can't say vindictive today. I'll start that again. Fuck's sakes, I need to drink some fucking coffee. Anyway, guys, on the 14th of August, Death's Gambit from White Rabbit Studios, guys. It is also published by Adult Swim. Yes, it's coming out on PC and PS4 for 20 of your hard-earned spondoolies. Yes, it's a 2D action RPG, and it is what I'm gonna put on the label on it now as one of the most vindictive games out there. Yes, these developers that have made this game are very big fans of Dark Souls and Castlevania, two of the most hardest games out there in my opinion. So yes, if you want to be pissed off and frustrated and have a great time at the same time, get this game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd say looking at it, I don't think you could draw a better comparison or mashup than Castlevania and Dark Souls, because it really does look like they've taken Dark Souls and put it into a 2D Castlevania environment, but it looks neat. I like the art style. Seeing some of the videos of the gameplay looks like it could be fun, but the way they describe it, yeah, I bet this thing's going to be frustrating as all hell.
The developers for Dark Souls and the developers for 𝗨𝗺𝘂𝘀𝘆 are vindictive people. And the only way they can be vindictive to millions of people is make a game and sell it. So I reckon that's what these guys are doing. And I really do hope they do capture the attack style of _𝗨𝗺𝘂𝘀𝘆, which is all about timing, you see. You can't just run around and attack. You've got to choose when you attack. You know, you got to know where things are. Yeah. It can be a difficult game to play.
Well, and up next, one day after that, I put this one in for G because he likes the management sim type games, and this one seems to have a pretty cute sense of humor to it as well, a pretty fun sense of humor. But this is Graveyard Keeper from Lazy Bear Games, be released on PC, Mac, Linux, and Xbox One, so G should be able to play it because he probably can play it on his Mac. But I couldn't find a price listing for this. I hate the way that Steam does this sometimes. They'll list the release date, but they don't list the price. And I would think that as close as we are to the release, they gotta know what the price is. And just don't know why that's not listed there. But anyway, neither here nor there. This one is, they call it a medieval cemetery management sim game. But it also has some RPG elements. It's kind of a top-down, pixelated graphics. If you remember some of the old school like Zelda games, I think Dragon Warrior did this too. That's the type of perspective you're going to be getting. Similar graphics, I'd say, to like the the Super Nintendo Zelda type game. So I don't know. It looks cute. Looks like it might be a little bit of fun. I'm not too much into management sims, but I know G tends to like those.
Again, it's one of those games that just didn't seem to interest me. I mean, management games, Sid Meier's, you know, Rail Tycoon, it's, yeah, they can be cool, you know, but honestly, it's like trying to compare a golf game to a baseball game, you know. All you do is hitting balls, you know. That's how I see it, you know. I just see it as another version of Sims, you know.
Oh, I agree. I've never been big on the management sims either. I find them to be kind of boring and tedious. With a few exceptions, there's been one or two over the years. Even a couple of like indie titles we played that have been kind of fun. But yeah, for the most part, I put this in here for G.
I think you've made him a very happy man by talking about this game. Yay. Well done, Drac. You've made the G smile.
And last but not least on our list, at the end of the month, on the 28th, Strange Brigade from Rebellion Developments. Now this will be out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. The base game is $49.99, but there's also a digital deluxe with the season pass for $79.99, and it's currently 10% off until the 28th when it releases, at least on Steam. I don't know about PS4 and Xbox One. It's a third-person perspective action-adventure with co-op. Basically, if you've ever wanted to play a game set in the 1930s, something akin to like an Indiana Jones type, you know, you're going out and exploring and dealing with traps and undead hordes of creatures. This one looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. They'll have a variety of weapons, items, and traps that you can make use of throughout the game. And the cool thing about the Season Pass, I've been kind of out on Season Passes for the most part, except for I did kind of go back in with Far Cry 5, and I've enjoyed that one thus far. For the most part. But the neat thing about the Season Pass is you're going to also get a 3-part mini campaign, which is almost enough of a reason for me to buy this. I don't necessarily care too much about the new heroes that they're adding, but they'll also, that's another part of it, and then there's also a bunch of weapons and outfits and stuff. I don't care about the outfits. The weapons I do, though, because I can use those to my advantage in the game. But one of the things they listed on Steam that really caught my attention for the Season Pass is, it says, you know, and I'll quote it here, and yes, that's right, all future Strange Brigade content. So, in addition to what they've already listed, if you buy the Season Pass, you're going to get everything else that they released for Strange Brigade.
What was that film where the guy had his hand chopped off with a chainsaw?
Evil Dead.
There we go. That's the guy I'm thinking about. Right. To be fair, this game looks like, I want to say, a Uncharted / Evil Dead sort of a mix, and it looks quite interesting to me.
That still sounds like a hell of a fun time.
That's what I'm trying to get at, you know. Evil Dead was a great film. I thank you for reminding me of it. I prefer the first one to the second one, but that's just me. I thought the second one was a bit lazy, but the first one was great. All right. I just think it's that sort of combination, and yeah, Evil Dead and Uncharted sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. So I think that's where they're going with this. Am I wrong by saying that, Track?
There's definitely a little bit of humor to it from what I've seen. Watching some of the trailers and stuff, I think it's more action oriented inside of this like 1930s era with like Egyptian pyramids and desert and jungle stuff to like explore. But
hence the Uncharted.
I would say it's probably
hence the Uncharted, and there's some humor to it, which I thought was quite funny and quite dark and gruesome, which. Or at least I came across to me like that, subtle dark, which I thought was a bit similar to Evil Dead, but that's the vibe I got from it.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Was like with Evil Dead, I can see where you're probably getting at with like the hordes of undead that are coming at you, and a little bit of the sense of humor that's in it.
Yep. A lot of fun that film. A lot of fun this game might be. Guys, thank you very much for listening to me and Drag and droning on to you guys about the upcoming games for August. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Cheers.
Adios.